Hello and welcome to History Sleep. Stories that as the sun dips slowly beneath the horizon, you find yourself stepping into a city whose heartbeat has echoed through 1,000 years, softly pulsing beneath the quiet of night. This is Baghdad, but perhaps not the Baghdad you have read about in hurried headlines or imagined through distant stories of turmoil. As you settle in to listen to this sleep story, a like and a subscription are a quiet way to support this channel. And if you feel comfortable, you're warmly invited to share where you're listening from in the comments. Tonight, the city is different. It breathes gently, almost imperceptibly, as if aware of your presence and willing you to take a step into its slower rhythm. The heat of the day has faded, leaving behind a coolness that carries faint traces of earth and water, mingling with the distant aroma of spices that have journeyed across centuries. You are invited not merely to observe, but to arrive, to let go of the concerns that clung to you like shadows, and to enter a space where time feels softer, more pliable, where every stone and street corner seems to remember what it has seen. Walking along the first quiet street, you notice how the lamps are lighting one by one, their golden glow spilling over carved wooden doors and narrow alleys, painting gentle patterns that shift as the breeze stirs. In this light, the city feels intimate, a place that has grown around stories and memories rather than ambitions and noise. You sense the weight of its history without the heaviness that often accompanies knowledge of past struggles. Instead, there is a calm authority in the way Baghdad carries itself, a quiet confidence that does not demand attention but quietly insists that you notice its presence. Every step you take is accompanied by the subtle whisper of history, soft as silk, encouraging your mind to drift yet remain attentive to the small wonders around you. Here, the Tigris flows steadily, reflecting the stars that begin to pierce the twilight sky. Its waters, like the city itself, have witnessed countless lifetimes, each ripple carrying stories of scholars, poets, and travelers who once walked these streets. You feel an almost magnetic pull toward the river, not as a tourist drawn to sights, but as a wanderer drawn to resonance, to continuity. It is here that Baghdad's long memory becomes tangible. The river does not hurry, and neither does the night. You are reminded that there is space to breathe, to reflect, and to let the mind ease into contemplation. The sounds around you are softened by the descending darkness. A distant conversation drifts through an open courtyard, muted and careful, like a melody remembered from childhood. The faint clatter of an oil lamp being lit somewhere nearby punctuates the quiet, an ordinary act transformed into something almost ceremonial under the night sky. This is a city that invites patience, that rewards observation not with spectacle but with subtle revelation. You begin to notice the small shifts in shadow and light, the gentle sway of a palm leaf, the echo of your own footsteps softened by the stones beneath your feet. As you settle into this rhythm, the weight of your day begins to dissolve. The outside world, with its urgency and noise, feels distant, separated by walls of stone and air of time. You are here, in a moment that belongs solely to you and to the city, a shared pause that stretches outward in both directions, back into the past and forward into the quiet night ahead. In this space, there is no need to hurry, no expectation to act, only the invitation to remain, to listen, and to move gently alongside Baghdad, letting the city guide you toward a slower, softer awareness. By welcoming you into its night, Baghdad offers a subtle promise: here, you may rest, you may reflect, and you may journey through 1,000 years without leaving the stillness of your own breath. As the last traces of sunlight linger on the horizon, the city begins its subtle transformation. The warmth that once pressed against your skin slowly recedes, leaving a delicate coolness that seems to settle into the very stones beneath your feet. Shadows stretch and bend across the streets, stretching longer than the day would allow, curling gently along the edges of carved doorways and cobblestones. There is a softness to this shift, a gentle letting go, as though Baghdad itself exhales, preparing for the quiet that night will bring. The air carries a hint of change, mingling the earthy scent of the riverbanks with the faint aroma of baked bread, cooling from ovens in nearby courtyards. It is a city that breathes in rhythm with its river, and tonight, its rhythm is slow, patient, almost meditative. The lanterns appear first as faint flickers, like timid stars descending to meet the city. Each lamp, suspended on a wooden post or hanging from an overhanging balcony, casts pools of golden light that shimmer across walls and pavement. The glow seems to soften the sharp edges of the buildings, rounding corners, illuminating the intricate patterns of latticework, and creating gentle contrasts between light and shadow. As your eyes adjust, the city becomes a tapestry of shifting brightness, a quiet interplay of dark and illuminated spaces that invites you to look deeper, to notice the small details that the day might have hidden. You find yourself slowing your pace without thinking, letting the city's rhythm guide your own, letting each step fall into a softer cadence. The sounds of day recede, replaced by the subtler, layered textures of night. A distant call drifts from a marketplace, carried on the cooling wind, softened and vague, almost like a memory rather than a present sound. Somewhere close, water trickles from a small fountain in a courtyard, its gentle splashes echoing softly against stone walls. Occasionally, the brush of fabric against stone signals a passerby, moving quietly, respectfully, as if aware of the city's contemplative mood. Even the breeze seems to have adopted this slower pace, moving with a whisper, rustling leaves on the few trees that line narrow streets, carrying their subtle scent toward you. In this moment, you feel wrapped in the sensory embrace of Baghdad, fully grounded, fully present, yet carried lightly by the calm of night. As darkness deepens, you begin to notice the delicate interplay of architecture and illumination. The wooden shutters of old houses cast patterned shadows across courtyards, their angles shifting as lanterns sway in the breeze. Stone arches rise above alleys, framing glimpses of narrow passageways where the lamplight dances across walls etched with centuries of history. The city seems to breathe in layers, the coolness of the night, the faint warmth lingering in stone, the soft illumination of lanterns, and the muted symphony of distant voices and gentle water. Each layer blends seamlessly with the others, creating an atmosphere that is immersive yet unobtrusive, inviting observation without demand, attention without urgency. Above you, the sky deepens from rose and gold to a quiet indigo, pierced by the first stars of evening. Their reflection in the Tigris River adds a mirror-like shimmer to the water, making the river appear both alive and still at once. Boats, small and simple, glide slowly across the surface, their movement measured, almost ceremonial, like a rhythm passed down through generations. Along the banks, the gentle lapping of water against hulls blends with the distant coo of pigeons returning to their roosts, a natural chorus that accompanies the city's slow transition. Everything feels connected, the air, the water, the lights, and your own presence as a quiet observer moving through this timeless space. Even as the city settles into its nocturnal pattern, there is movement to be found. Lamps are lit in inner courtyards where families gather to share quiet moments. A scholar's voice murmurs softly as ink flows across parchment, though far enough away that it registers only as a gentle hum of intent and focus. Occasionally, a small lantern flickers past your path, carried by someone moving through an alley, and for a moment, it casts a bright, dancing shadow across the walls before disappearing into darkness again. These small movements, subtle and respectful, serve as reminders that life continues quietly, that the city is not empty but alive in ways that are gentle and sustaining rather than demanding or intrusive. Your senses, now attuned to this nocturnal rhythm, begin to notice the tiniest details, the faint smell of night-blooming flowers tucked into hidden gardens, the way cobblestones retain a soft warmth from the day, the slow sigh of wind moving through a palm frond. Each element layers upon the last, creating a tapestry of sensory impressions that is at once grounding and transporting. You realize that the night has a texture all its own, a texture woven from air, shadow, sound, and memory, and that by simply walking, observing, and breathing, you are becoming part of its pattern. In this way, Baghdad at night is revealed not as a city of conflict or hurry, but as a sanctuary of subtle rhythms and enduring presence. Each detail, each sound, each flicker of lamplight is a gentle invitation to sink deeper into awareness, to let your mind follow the measured pace of centuries without needing to hurry. The city asks nothing from you beyond attention and quiet curiosity, offering in return the rare pleasure of fully inhabiting a place that has witnessed the rise and fall of ages, yet now rests softly under the gaze of night. As you move through these streets, guided by lanterns and the gentle hush of the river, you feel a sense of ease settle over you, a reassurance that the city will remain patient and welcoming, letting you drift in its timeless rhythm for as long as you wish. As the last traces of sunlight linger on the horizon, the city begins its subtle transformation. The warmth that once pressed against your skin slowly recedes, leaving a delicate coolness that seems to settle into the very stones beneath your feet. Shadows stretch and bend across the streets, stretching longer than the day would allow, curling gently along the edges of carved doorways and cobblestones. There is a softness to this shift, a gentle letting go, as though Baghdad itself exhales, preparing for the quiet that night will bring. The air carries a hint of change, mingling the earthy scent of the riverbanks with the faint aroma of baked bread, cooling from ovens in nearby courtyards. It is a city that breathes in rhythm with its river, and tonight, its rhythm is slow, patient, almost meditative. The lanterns appear first as faint flickers, like timid stars descending to meet the city. Each lamp, suspended on a wooden post or hanging from an overhanging balcony, casts pools of golden light that shimmer across walls and pavement. The glow seems to soften the sharp edges of the buildings, rounding corners, illuminating the intricate patterns of latticework, and creating gentle contrasts between light and shadow. As your eyes adjust, the city becomes a tapestry of shifting brightness, a quiet interplay of dark and illuminated spaces that invites you to look deeper, to notice the small details that the day might have hidden. You find yourself slowing your pace without thinking, letting the city's rhythm guide your own, letting each step fall into a softer cadence. The sounds of day recede, replaced by the subtler, layered textures of night. A distant call drifts from a marketplace, carried on the cooling wind, softened and vague, almost like a memory rather than a present sound. Somewhere close, water trickles from a small fountain in a courtyard, its gentle splashes echoing softly against stone walls. Occasionally, the brush of fabric against stone signals a passerby, moving quietly, respectfully, as if aware of the city's contemplative mood. Even the breeze seems to have adopted this slower pace, moving with a whisper, rustling leaves on the few trees that line narrow streets, carrying their subtle scent toward you. In this moment, you feel wrapped in the sensory embrace of Baghdad, fully grounded, fully present, yet carried lightly by the calm of night. As darkness deepens, you begin to notice the delicate interplay of architecture and illumination. The wooden shutters of old houses cast patterned shadows across courtyards, their angles shifting as lanterns sway in the breeze. Stone arches rise above alleys, framing glimpses of narrow passageways where the lamplight dances across walls etched with centuries of history. The city seems to breathe in layers, the coolness of the night, the faint warmth lingering in stone, the soft illumination of lanterns, and the muted symphony of distant voices and gentle water. Each layer blends seamlessly with the others, creating an atmosphere that is immersive yet unobtrusive, inviting observation without demand, attention without urgency. Above you, the sky deepens from rose and gold to a quiet indigo, pierced by the first stars of evening. Their reflection in the Tigris River adds a mirror-like shimmer to the water, making the river appear both alive and still at once. Boats, small and simple, glide slowly across the surface, their movement measured, almost ceremonial, like a rhythm passed down through generations. Along the banks, the gentle lapping of water against hulls blends with the distant coo of pigeons returning to their roosts, a natural chorus that accompanies the city's slow transition. Everything feels connected, the air, the water, the lights, and your own presence as a quiet observer moving through this timeless space. Even as the city settles into its nocturnal pattern, there is movement to be found. Lamps are lit in inner courtyards where families gather to share quiet moments. A scholar's voice murmurs softly as ink flows across parchment, though far enough away that it registers only as a gentle hum of intent and focus. Occasionally, a small lantern flickers past your path, carried by someone moving through an alley, and for a moment, it casts a bright, dancing shadow across the walls before disappearing into darkness again. These small movements, subtle and respectful, serve as reminders that life continues quietly, that the city is not empty but alive in ways that are gentle and sustaining rather than demanding or intrusive. Your senses, now attuned to this nocturnal rhythm, begin to notice the tiniest details, the faint smell of night-blooming flowers tucked into hidden gardens, the way cobblestones retain a soft warmth from the day, the slow sigh of wind moving through a palm frond. Each element layers upon the last, creating a tapestry of sensory impressions that is at once grounding and transporting. You realize that the night has a texture all its own, a texture woven from air, shadow, sound, and memory, and that by simply walking, observing, and breathing, you are becoming part of its pattern. In this way, Baghdad at night is revealed not as a city of conflict or hurry, but as a sanctuary of subtle rhythms and enduring presence. Each detail, each sound, each flicker of lamplight is a gentle invitation to sink deeper into awareness, to let your mind follow the measured pace of centuries without needing to hurry. The city asks nothing from you beyond attention and quiet curiosity, offering in return the rare pleasure of fully inhabiting a place that has witnessed the rise and fall of ages, yet now rests softly under the gaze of night. As you move through these streets, guided by lanterns and the gentle hush of the river, you feel a sense of ease settle over you, a reassurance that the city will remain patient and welcoming, letting you drift in its timeless rhythm for as long as you wish. You step further into the heart of Baghdad, where the streets narrow and the rhythm of the city slows even more, inviting you to move with deliberate calm. Each footfall echoes softly against the stone beneath you, not harshly, but as a quiet companion to the subtle hum of night. The streets curve gently, weaving between buildings whose walls have absorbed centuries of sun, wind, and human presence. There is no rush here, time has taken on a different quality, flowing with the steady patience of the city itself. You notice the uneven stones beneath your feet, worn smooth by countless footsteps over generations, carrying the memory of those who walked before you without burden or interruption. As you continue, you observe the wooden doors that punctuate each dwelling, each one unique, carved with patterns that hint at long-forgotten stories. Some are painted with muted colors, their paint soft and weathered, while others remain in bare, aged timber, polished by hands that came before yours. Every surface seems to tell a story, though the stories are quiet, not insistent, allowing you to imagine rather than be told. The arches above alleyways frame glimpses of lanterns flickering far ahead, creating pockets of light and shadow that shift gently with the breeze. You feel the architecture as a presence, not merely as structures, a living fabric that surrounds you and subtly guides your path through the labyrinth of streets. Courtyards emerge unexpectedly, open spaces where the night air gathers and lingers. Some are simple, containing only a fountain or a small cluster of plants, while others hold the faint traces of conversation or domestic activity that continues even in the stillness. A soft rustle of fabric, the quiet scrape of a sandal on stone, and the occasional low murmur of voices reach your ears like fragments of memory, delicate and distant. In these moments, you become aware of the layers of life that coexist in the city, invisible yet present, intertwining with your own movement. You notice how the cool air gathers in these open spaces, carrying the faint scent of cooking fires, spices, and the subtle, clean smell of night that rises from stone and earth alike. You walk slowly, deliberately, noticing the contrast between the shadows and light that falls unevenly across walls. Small balconies jut outward, offering private views of the streets below, their wooden lattices casting delicate patterns that dance with each flicker of a lantern. Windows, shuttered and dimly lit, reveal glimpses of interiors, quiet rooms where someone might be reading, writing, or simply gazing toward the darkened sky. The city is intimate in this way, revealing itself in fragments, offering just enough to stir your curiosity while keeping the greater whole serene and intact. Each corner turn brings a subtle shift in perspective, an invitation to notice detail and depth without urgency, to feel the continuity of place as your guide. The stone beneath you shifts from cobblestones to worn slabs, each surface uneven yet familiar under your careful steps. There is a rhythm here, not imposed but naturally occurring, as though the city itself encourages a gentle cadence, a walking pace that mirrors the heartbeat of night. You notice the way air moves through narrow alleys, carrying whispers of distant water, the faint scrape of a lantern chain, or the hush of leaves brushing against walls. These sounds are not distractions but companions, subtle markers of presence that reinforce the sense of being wholly immersed in place and time. You feel the streets enfold around you, a soft embrace that is both grounding and expansive. Small details continue to reveal themselves as you progress. You observe the texture of walls, some rough with age, others smooth where centuries of touch have polished them. You notice the faint markings etched into stone by tradespeople long gone, subtle signatures of labor and care. Even the air seems infused with the memory of life, as though every breath you take carries traces of laughter, conversation, and quiet reflection from generations past. These sensations do not demand recognition, they simply exist, inviting you to acknowledge them gently, letting each observation deepen your sense of connection and presence. Lanterns guide your path through twisting alleys, their warm glow highlighting corners, doorways, and arches in a soft, forgiving light. Occasionally, a lantern sways, casting moving patterns across walls, as if the city itself is breathing slowly with you. You notice the spaces in between, moments of darkness that are not empty but filled with potential, offering your mind room to wander, to imagine, and to rest. The contrasts between light and shadow, sound and silence, movement and stillness, create a rhythm that is calming, hypnotic, yet subtly engaging, carrying your attention forward without urgency or demand. In these quiet streets, you become increasingly aware of your own movement as part of the city's nocturnal rhythm. You do not hurry, and yet you continue to move, guided by curiosity and a sense of gentle exploration. Every turn, every step, every fleeting sound contributes to the tapestry of night, and you are both observer and participant in this unfolding, timeless moment. Baghdad here is patient and generous, revealing its layers slowly, allowing you to inhabit its presence fully, without expectation or distraction. You feel a deep ease settle into your body and mind, the steady awareness of being present mingling with the subtle pull of curiosity, carrying you onward. By the time you pause at a small archway, where the alley opens briefly onto a quiet courtyard, you notice how seamlessly movement and stillness coexist. Shadows linger, lanterns glow softly, and the city seems to breathe alongside you, in rhythm with your quiet steps. You sense the layers of history underfoot, the weight of centuries without burden, the continuity of life unfolding in gentle waves. And as you stand there, taking it all in, you realize that walking these streets is more than observation, it is a way of inhabiting the night, of letting the city guide your senses and your thoughts, inviting you to a deeper, calmer state of being, fully present in the quiet, enduring heart of Baghdad. You leave the narrow streets behind and make your way toward the soft, inviting sound of water, following the faint shimmer of lamplight reflecting off the surface. The Tigris River stretches before you, wide and steady, a liquid mirror for the night sky above. Stars glimmer faintly in its surface, dancing alongside the lanterns that hang along its banks, creating the impression that the heavens themselves have descended to mingle with the city. The river moves without hurry, carrying centuries of memory in its gentle flow, and as you watch, you feel a quiet sense of continuity, as though you have stepped into a rhythm that has existed long before you and will remain long after. The cool air near the water carries a different scent, faintly damp with the earthy perfume of the riverbanks. It drifts gently over your skin, mingling with the lingering warmth from the streets you have walked. You notice the soft lapping of water against small boats, their wooden hulls gliding slowly across the reflective surface. There is no urgency here, no sharp interruption, even the motion of the boat seems to follow the same patient pace as the city itself. Occasionally, a fisherman or a boatman moves quietly along the river, their presence fleeting, almost ephemeral, like a whisper in the night. Each movement is gentle, deliberate, and harmonized with the river's steady cadence, encouraging you to slow your own breathing, to match the flow around you. The river has seen lifetimes unfold along its banks. You sense the weight of history in the way the water carries itself, never rushed, yet never static. Ships from distant lands once docked here, laden with goods and knowledge, their crews exchanging stories, maps, and words across languages. Scholars and poets have paused at its edge, letting the cool breeze carry their reflections and verse across the water. Generations of families have washed, fished, or simply lingered on the banks, unaware of the centuries that would follow. Standing here, you are part of this continuum, a quiet witness in your own right, feeling the river's patient presence seep into your awareness, grounding you in a calm, meditative state. Lanterns from nearby houses and riverside walkways create patterns on the water's surface, flickering in slow, hypnotic rhythm. Each reflection wavers, stretches, and reforms as gentle currents pass beneath the hulls of small boats. The interplay of light and motion is soothing, a visual rhythm that mirrors the slow rise and fall of your chest, the gentle pulse of your own awareness. Occasionally, a lantern's glow will be swallowed by a passing shadow, only to return moments later as the boat drifts onward, reminding you of the subtle cycles that exist all around, in both city and river, in history and in the quiet present. You notice the faint murmurs of life along the banks, a soft call, the ripple of water, a distant splash from a small fishing net. These sounds are not startling, only gentle markers of existence, like breaths that punctuate the stillness. Even the occasional rustle of reeds or the quiet flap of a bird's wings is integrated seamlessly into the river's soundscape, each element contributing to the overall sense of calm. The night here has no beginning or end, only a steady, enveloping continuity that allows you to let go, to follow the river's measured flow with your own mind and body, drifting into its serene current. Boats glide slowly past, some carrying a lone figure tending lanterns, others empty, rocking gently with the water. Their passage seems ceremonial, unhurried, a quiet affirmation that movement and stillness can coexist. You watch how the reflections bend and stretch around their hulls, forming patterns that repeat and reform, subtle and endless, much like the thoughts that drift through your mind in moments of contemplation. There is a hypnotic quality here, a repetition that reassures without demanding attention, guiding your awareness into a soft, immersive state where observation and relaxation merge seamlessly. Above the river, the night sky deepens, a canvas of deep blue sprinkled with stars. Each point of light mirrors a reflection in the water below, creating a subtle symmetry that feels deliberate, as if the heavens and the river are quietly conversing. The gentle sway of lanterns along the banks, combined with the rhythmic movement of water, offers a visual melody, a slow cycle that invites you to synchronize your own pace, to notice the rise and fall of your chest and the ease of your breathing as it naturally aligns with the environment around you. You feel a connection between the water's movement and the quiet movement of the city beyond, the soft illumination of lanterns along streets you traversed earlier blending with the river's reflective surface. The entire scene encourages a gentle immersion, drawing your mind into a contemplative flow that is uninterrupted, steady, and calming. You become aware of the timeless quality of this space, where water has borne witness to countless lives, and yet tonight, it carries you effortlessly, offering a gentle, continuous rhythm that invites deep reflection, presence, and rest. As you stand on the riverbank, observing the interplay of light, shadow, and motion, you realize that the river never truly sleeps. Its constant movement is patient, unwavering, and silently observant. It carries the weight of history without burden, offering continuity, calm, and reassurance. In its quiet persistence, you find a mirror for your own mind, a guide to move slowly, breathe evenly, and rest deeply. The river, reflective and eternal, embraces the night with a measured grace, and as you watch, you feel yourself surrendering to its gentle, ceaseless flow, fully present and fully at ease in the enduring heart of Baghdad. As you follow the river's slow curve, the quiet rhythm of the night seems to shift subtly, carrying you not only along its banks but also through the layers of time itself. The water, reflecting the flickering lanterns and distant stars, becomes a window through which the city's long memory begins to emerge more vividly. In your mind's eye, the streets you walked earlier begin to shimmer with traces of another era, one where the heartbeat of Baghdad carried not only the pulse of daily life but also the profound rhythm of knowledge and discovery. You sense, without interruption or shock, that you are entering the Abbasid period, the city's golden age, where night held its own form of illumination, born not from lamps alone but from the quiet brilliance of intellect. The streets and alleys, familiar yet subtly transformed, are alive with hushed activity. Scholars linger in courtyards, seated beneath the delicate glow of lanterns, quills moving methodically across parchment. The soft scratch of ink resonates with the same rhythm as the river, echoing the patient unfolding of thought. Travelers pause to rest, their footsteps muted on the cobblestones, exchanging gentle greetings with those who welcome them into the calm of the night. The city does not announce its brilliance loudly, it reveals itself in small gestures, in the quiet dedication of those who pursue learning for its own sake. You notice how seamlessly these layers of life coexist with the serenity of the river, each detail woven into the city's continuous, unhurried fabric. The architecture around you reflects both elegance and purpose. Buildings rise in measured heights, their walls adorned with subtle patterns that catch the lantern light. Courtyards open like soft breaths within the city, providing spaces where knowledge can flourish quietly, away from the demands of the day. The air is filled with the faint scent of ink, paper, and oil lamps, intermingling with the natural coolness of the night. Each sensory detail reinforces a sense of continuity, learning, reflection, and contemplation exist as naturally as the flowing water, offering a rhythm that invites you to match your own pace to the gentle motion of life around you. You notice the subtle ways the city accommodates thought. Narrow alleys lead to quiet rooms where scholars debate softly, where travelers pause to read a scroll or consult a map. The lamps that line the streets are placed thoughtfully, not for spectacle, but to illuminate workspaces and pathways without intrusion. Sound itself is measured, conversations are low, deliberate, carrying ideas without urgency. You sense that the night is respected here, valued as a time for reflection and study, and that this careful balance between illumination and shadow, between activity and stillness, has been maintained for generations. It is a rhythm that you can almost feel in your own chest, a slow pulse that invites contemplation, curiosity, and calm presence. Along the riverbanks, small boats drift lazily, carrying scholars and travelers alike. Their lanterns glow gently, mirrored in the water below, creating a duality of reflection and reality that feels as natural as breathing. Each movement is unhurried, each gesture deliberate, and you feel yourself absorbing the patience inherent in this nocturnal landscape. The city's intellectual life does not clamor for attention, it invites quiet participation, allowing the observer to notice the layering of thought, action, and reflection without urgency. You imagine the soft rustle of scrolls, the careful turning of pages, the thoughtful murmurs of those engaged in study, and your mind begins to adopt the same gentle tempo. Even the night air seems imbued with purpose. A breeze stirs the trees along the streets and riverbanks, carrying the faint scent of paper, herbs, and river water. The stars above reflect not only in the water but also in the eyes of those who remain awake to learn, their minds alive with inquiry, imagination, and reason. This is a Baghdad where discovery is quiet, where knowledge accumulates in measured increments, and where the night itself provides a sanctuary for those who seek understanding. You notice how seamlessly the present moment, your own presence, and this imagined past coexist, each reinforcing a sense of calm curiosity, each drawing you deeper into the city's layered narrative. The lamps, the water, the gentle movement of people and boats, all blend into a rhythmic, immersive experience. There is no sharp excitement here, no tension to unravel, instead, the city's brilliance emerges slowly, in patterns and gestures that invite observation and reflection. As you move alongside the river and through the softened streets, you feel a quiet awe, not of spectacle, but of continuity, of enduring human endeavor, of centuries of thought and culture carried gently within these walls. Baghdad's golden age is revealed not through dramatic events, but through the calm persistence of learning, the careful cultivation of ideas, and the seamless integration of life into the rhythm of the night. Even as you continue your journey, the city seems to recognize your presence, offering glimpses of study, reflection, and quiet activity without demanding attention. You are allowed to witness without intrusion, to move with patience, to match your breathing to the cadence of lanterns swaying over cobblestones, to absorb the steady, deliberate pulse of the city as it unfolds around you. In this way, Baghdad at night becomes not only a place, but also a state of mind, a gentle embrace of history, learning, and quiet observation, inviting you to inhabit its rhythm fully, calmly, and without interruption, and to carry that ease with you into the deeper hours of the night. As you leave the riverbank and wander once more into the quieter neighborhoods, the city's focus shifts subtly, drawing your attention inward toward the spaces where life unfolds behind closed doors. The streets grow narrower, and the warm glow of lanterns spills softly through wooden lattices and carved shutters. Here, in these intimate corners of Baghdad, the pulse of the city slows even further. The subtle hum of distant footsteps fades beneath the gentle chorus of domestic life, and you are invited to witness the quiet rhythms that have sustained families for generations. Courtyards open like small oases between buildings, sheltered from the wind and framed by walls that have absorbed the laughter, conversation, and contemplation of countless nights. Some hold the faint flicker of a lamp beside a water fountain, casting gentle reflections on the surrounding stone, while others remain in muted shadow, their presence suggested by the quiet stir of leaves or the soft scraping of a door hinge. You imagine the families gathered within, parents reclining on low benches, children nestled on rugs, elders resting after long days. Conversation has softened, and laughter is subdued, filtered through the calm of night, creating a sense of safety and continuity that transcends the passing of time. In some houses, the faint aroma of a late meal lingers, carried through open windows into the streets. Perhaps a family has just finished eating, and the gentle clink of bowls and utensils fades into the background, leaving only the memory of warmth and nourishment. Elsewhere, a candle burns low on a table, illuminating the quiet gestures of care, a hand smoothing a child's hair, a whispered word exchanged between companions. These small, ordinary acts are rendered extraordinary by their consistency, by the way they echo across centuries, forming a quiet thread that links your presence to those who came before. You feel a sense of belonging in observing them, an emotional grounding that requires no familiarity with their faces, only an awareness of shared human experience. The architecture here, like the people within it, balances openness and shelter. Wooden doors stand ajar, offering glimpses of dimly lit rooms, while lattice windows filter the lantern light, creating delicate patterns that dance across floors and walls. Courtyards act as buffers, softening sound, holding the gentle echoes of conversation and footsteps, and providing spaces where the night air mingles with scents of herbs, ink, and well-tended gardens. You notice how the city's design encourages intimacy without confinement, allowing each household to exist quietly within the larger rhythm of Baghdad, reinforcing a sense of calm and emotional safety as you move past. Even as you observe from the streets, the life within these homes resonates outward. The quiet turning of pages by a scholar in a corner, the whispered exchanges of children sharing stories, the slow hum of someone preparing tea, all these details blend into a subtle, comforting soundscape. You are aware of movement and stillness coexisting seamlessly, lamps are dimming, conversations are fading, and yet the city remains alive, carrying energy without pressure. It is a pattern that mirrors the ebb and flow of your own breath, reinforcing the gentle cadence of your journey through the night. You notice the way light plays across surfaces, a soft glow highlighting the grain of wooden furniture, the smooth texture of stone floors, or the delicate folds of fabric draped over benches and cushions. Shadows shift slowly as lanterns sway, creating small, animated patterns that never startle, only encourage your eyes to linger. These subtle changes invite observation and presence without urgency, allowing you to notice the layers of care and attention that define domestic life in Baghdad. Each gesture, each flicker of light, contributes to a sense of familiarity and comfort, bridging the centuries between your experience and the countless nights that have unfolded in these same spaces. The night continues its gentle descent, and you feel yourself moving in harmony with it. The faint murmur of conversation, the occasional scrape of a door, and the hush of wind through courtyard trees provide a backdrop that is simultaneously active and serene. Families prepare for rest, drawing curtains, extinguishing lamps, and settling into their evening rituals. You sense the universality of these routines, the need for nourishment, comfort, companionship, and quiet reflection. These practices connect you not only to the people around you but also to the enduring patterns of human life, offering reassurance that across centuries, some rhythms remain constant. As you walk past each home, you notice how night transforms the ordinary into something sacred. The ordinary movements of daily life, lighting a lamp, pouring tea, guiding a child to rest, take on a reverent quality when set against the city's soft nocturnal backdrop. The stillness of the streets enhances the significance of these small gestures, and you feel a gentle empathy for the continuity of life unfolding within these walls. There is no rush, no urgency, only the patient unfolding of evening routines that create a profound sense of security, grounding, and shared humanity. In this way, the city's domestic spaces serve as anchors within the larger nocturnal rhythm. They remind you that amidst centuries of change, the human need for rest, reflection, and connection persists. As you continue through the quiet streets, following the gentle guidance of lamplight and shadow, you carry with you a sense of warmth, a subtle reassurance that the patterns of family life are enduring, patient, and sustaining. Baghdad at night is alive in these small, intimate moments, and in observing them, you feel part of the city's ongoing story, a story not of spectacle or grandeur, but of calm, enduring presence that offers a quiet invitation to rest alongside it. As you move beyond the intimate courtyards and dimly lit homes, your attention is drawn once more to the rhythm of Baghdad's night, this time toward spaces dedicated to thought and reflection. The city seems to bend softly around you, guiding you toward quiet rooms where knowledge thrives in the absence of urgency. Lamps hang from wooden beams or rest on low tables, casting a gentle glow over manuscripts and scrolls. The scent of ink and parchment mingles with the cooler night air, forming a delicate atmosphere that encourages calm observation and patient curiosity. Here, the life of the mind unfolds slowly, deliberately, as if thought itself moves with the measured grace of the river you left behind. You notice the subtle movements of scholars seated cross-legged on rugs or cushions, quills in hand, carefully copying texts or annotating passages with steady, precise strokes. Each motion is deliberate, rhythmic, almost meditative, creating a quiet music of concentration that fills the room without overwhelming it. The soft scratching of ink against parchment mirrors the gentle lapping of water outside, a continuity of sound that extends from river to home to library. In this nocturnal space, learning feels alive yet unobtrusive, a living presence that encourages immersion without demanding attention or action. You feel privileged to witness this, as if the city has allowed you a glimpse into its most intimate form of vitality, one born not of spectacle but of quiet dedication. In corners of these libraries, piles of manuscripts rest patiently, stacked with care, their pages worn smooth from centuries of handling. The titles are written in elegant scripts, sometimes faded, sometimes freshly inscribed, but all carrying the same quiet authority. Each scroll and codex is a repository of thought, carrying ideas across time without hurry or interruption. You sense that knowledge here is treated as a companion, a presence to be honored and engaged with, rather than a tool of competition or display. This reverence for intellect is woven into the very air, softening the spaces and inviting you to slow your own thoughts, to let reflection expand in the same unhurried rhythm. The scholars themselves move with intention. A hand pauses over a passage, a quill tilts to absorb more ink, eyes lift to consider meaning. Occasionally, one leans back, gazing toward a lantern or out a window at the stars above, drawing inspiration from the night as it mirrors the cosmos beyond. You notice the gentleness of their gestures, the patience in their focus, and feel that thought here is not a spark to ignite, but a steady flame to nurture. Each action is subtle, each breath synchronized with the silent pulse of the city outside, creating an environment that is both alive and serene, encouraging quiet attention without distraction or tension. Along narrow corridors connecting rooms, the faint shuffle of footsteps signals the movement of students or assistants, carrying scrolls or water for the lamps. Even these minor sounds are soft, measured, and respectful of the contemplative environment. The city outside seems to recognize these spaces, allowing a calm hush to settle over them, so that each sound, each flicker of light, becomes part of a larger rhythm that encompasses scholar and city alike. In this way, Baghdad at night becomes more than a physical place, it becomes a vessel for thought, patience, and gentle continuity. The lanterns themselves seem to participate in this quiet dialogue, their flames reflected in polished inkwells and worn manuscripts, casting gentle patterns across walls and tables. Shadows shift softly, tracing the movement of hands and the curve of a quill, creating a subtle choreography of light and stillness. You observe how this interplay reinforces the sense of rhythm, how the visual and auditory details merge to form a calm environment where knowledge is both present and unobtrusive, offering a sanctuary for reflection and understanding. Even the architecture of these intellectual spaces speaks of patience and care. Low wooden beams support ceilings that rise just enough to provide openness, while alcoves and shelves are arranged to allow both access and privacy. Windows, often adorned with delicate latticework, filter the lantern light and the faint silver of the night sky, creating pockets of illumination that highlight manuscripts without overwhelming the room. You feel the harmony of design, how the physical space supports mental focus, and how the night itself has been embraced as a partner in contemplation. As you move through these libraries and study rooms, the repetition of quiet gestures, the turning of pages, the tilt of a head, the soft scratching of quills, begins to feel almost hypnotic. It is a rhythm that mirrors breathing, slow and continuous, drawing you into the calm awareness of the present moment. You notice the unity of past and present. Centuries of scholars have moved here before you, leaving traces in ink and parchment, and tonight, your attention becomes part of that enduring flow. Thought here is gentle, patient, and infinite, and by observing it, you feel your own mind settling into a complementary pace. In these hours, Baghdad's intellectual life reveals itself not through dramatic events, but through persistent, quiet engagement. Knowledge breathes softly in every corner, guiding the observer into a state of calm curiosity. You feel a sense of reverence for the continuity of learning, a recognition that every careful stroke of a quill, every softly spoken reflection, contributes to a legacy that spans generations. Here, in the gentle glow of lanterns and the hushed murmur of scholars, the city offers a sanctuary for thought, a space where intellect and night coexist in quiet harmony, inviting you to witness, to reflect, and to rest in the enduring presence of knowledge. As you step away from the quiet libraries, the city's nighttime rhythm shifts again, drawing your attention inward toward sound itself. The streets are hushed, yet alive with subtle vibrations, each carrying a story across the stillness. Footsteps echo softly along stone pavements, your own mingling with distant traces of those who have passed this way before you. The sound is neither urgent nor intrusive, it is measured, deliberate, part of a slow, ongoing symphony of night that invites calm awareness. Each step, each echo, becomes a gentle marker, grounding you in the present while allowing your mind to drift into the larger auditory landscape. Nearby, the Tigris River whispers against its banks. Water laps softly at the edges of wooden boats, the faint splash of oars blending with the natural pulse of the river. Occasionally, the gentle flow catches a leaf or twig, sending it floating silently across the reflective surface. These repeated, soft movements create a rhythm that is both continuous and comforting, a cyclical sound that mirrors breathing. You notice how your own chest rises and falls in harmony, how your mind settles into the cadence of motion, absorbing the auditory textures of night with a patient, quiet attention. Wind threads its way through narrow streets and open courtyards, rustling the leaves of small gardens and brushing lightly against the fabric of hanging lanterns. The movement produces a soft, whispering chorus, shifting in intensity yet never harsh, carrying the scent of herbs, stone, and earth along with it. Occasionally, it brushes against wooden shutters, causing them to creak ever so gently, a subtle note in the nocturnal composition. You let your awareness expand to include these details, each sound a gentle signal of the city's life continuing quietly, patiently, even in the late hours. From somewhere distant, a low murmur of conversation drifts through a courtyard. Words are indistinct, softened by walls and space, yet their presence is comforting, signaling human connection without demand. You hear the scrape of sandals on worn stone, the faint brush of fabric as someone adjusts a cloak or folds a cloth, the slow, deliberate clink of pottery. Each sound is small, almost incidental, yet together they form a complex, layered tapestry of auditory experience that guides you further into stillness. You begin to notice the spaces between sounds as much as the sounds themselves, the brief pauses, the subtle gaps, which allow your mind to expand and settle, to rest without interruption. Birds and insects contribute their nocturnal voices as well. The faint coo of pigeons settling into their roosts drifts down from balconies and roofs, blending with the occasional rustle of small creatures moving through alleyways. A cicada hums softly in the distance, steady and low, like a subtle undercurrent beneath the layered symphony of human activity. Even these natural sounds are subdued, carefully integrated into the urban texture, offering comfort rather than surprise. Your focus narrows to these details, your imagination filling in none of the missing parts, only letting each sound resonate and dissolve, guiding your mind deeper into calm awareness. The river continues its gentle accompaniment, water brushing against stone and wood, reflecting the faint glow of lanterns overhead. Small splashes mark the passage of a boat, a ripple disturbing the mirrored sky only briefly before it smooths again. Occasionally, a paddle taps the surface in careful, measured strokes, its repetition creating a hypnotic rhythm that soothes attention without commanding it. You find yourself following the pattern, letting it synchronize with your own thoughts, breathing, and heartbeat. In this moment, sound becomes the primary anchor, a soft, guiding thread that leads you through the quiet complexity of the night. Lanterns sway gently in the evening breeze, producing a faint metallic clink where chains meet hooks. Their movement, mirrored in the water and echoed in the soft creak of wood, forms a subtle, repeating motif. You notice how this gentle percussion interacts with the natural sounds of the river and wind, layering into a soft symphony that is at once alive and unintrusive. Even the occasional distant call, a vendor finishing his work, a traveler murmuring to a companion, feels like a punctuation mark, brief and non-demanding, adding texture without tension. As your awareness deepens, visual detail fades further into the background. The soft flicker of lamps, the shadowed outlines of buildings, and the glimmer of stars reflected in the river are present, but your attention rests primarily on sound. Footsteps, water, wind, rustling fabric, and distant murmurs blend into a continuous, gentle pattern. Each repetition reinforces calm, each subtle variation maintains interest without stimulation, allowing your mind to relax while remaining immersed. This narrowing of attention invites a state of quiet observation, almost meditative, where the auditory world becomes a conduit for rest, reflection, and gentle presence. In this way, the sounds of Baghdad at night become both guide and companion. They carry you across streets, past courtyards, and along the river, threading together the layers of human life, architecture, and nature into a coherent, soothing experience. Footsteps, water, wind, and the quiet resonance of human activity merge seamlessly, providing a steady, rhythmic anchor for your consciousness. You are enveloped in the city's auditory landscape, moving slowly, listening deeply, and allowing yourself to drift gently, fully immersed in the timeless, serene heartbeat of Baghdad at night. As the night deepens, the city around you seems to shift subtly, not in structure or shape, but in the very quality of its presence. The streets, the river, the houses, and the courtyards all remain familiar, yet your awareness begins to sense something more profound, the layers of time woven into every stone, every ripple of water, every whisper of wind. It is as if the city itself exists outside the strict measures of hours or days, flowing instead in cycles, folds, and gentle currents, like water carrying memories downstream. You are part of this flow, your own perception stretching, loosening the usual grasp of past, present, and future, until all three feel like overlapping reflections on the river's surface. The lanterns along streets and river banks glow softly, their light both ancient and immediate. You sense that generations of hands have lit similar flames, centuries apart, yet here they merge seamlessly in your experience. Each flicker holds echoes of those who walked, studied, and rested before you, and your mind begins to notice the way the patterns repeat and change, like waves that never truly begin or end. The sound of water brushing the riverbank carries more than itself, it carries all the footsteps that ever passed here, mingling past and present into a gentle, continuous rhythm. You realize that time in Baghdad is patient, folding itself around human lives without forcing them to hurry, letting existence unfold in quiet, enduring patterns. As you move slowly along the streets, you begin to sense the layering of centuries in the city's architecture. Doors, windows, arches, and courtyards are unchanged in function, yet they have witnessed countless generations. Each stone seems to remember the hands that carved it, the footsteps that pressed against it, the soft echoes of voices long faded. You feel a subtle intimacy with this history, not as a scholar or historian, but as an observer of continuity, part of the same timeless rhythm that has carried scholars, families, and travelers through the ages. There is no urgency here, only a quiet unfolding that encourages you to let go of linear thought and sink into a deeper sense of temporal immersion. Along the river, the water's reflection blurs distinctions between past and present. Lanterns sway gently, and their mirrored glow overlaps with imagined lamps of centuries past. You can almost sense the Tigris flowing past merchants' boats, scholars' quiet reflections, children's laughter, and nightly conversations, each distinct, yet all blending into a single, fluid experience. The river becomes a teacher of patience, showing that life does not always move forward in straight lines, but rather in cycles, echoes, and soft repetitions. The gentle lapping of water against the shore mirrors your own heartbeat, slow and steady, carrying you deeper into awareness of the city's enduring pulse. You begin to notice that even human presence feels woven into this continuum. Families close doors for the night, scholars set down quills, travelers rest in quiet alcoves, all actions taken across different centuries converge in your perception. You sense that countless lives have passed these same streets, paused in the same courtyards, and traced similar patterns along the riverbank. Each movement, while unique in its moment, contributes to a collective cadence that the city has nurtured for over 1,000 years. In this way, the past is not distant, but layered directly beneath your awareness, softening the boundaries of time and creating a sense of calm continuity. The sounds of the city reinforce this circular sense of time. Footsteps echo softly, both yours and imagined echoes from generations before. Water continues its gentle murmur. The wind rustles leaves and fabric with the same patient rhythm it has carried for centuries. Even the faint hum of conversation or the scratch of ink on parchment seems to carry traces of voices long gone. These patterns fold upon themselves, creating an auditory fabric that is at once familiar and timeless. You notice how each repetition, each subtle variation, encourages a deepening relaxation, allowing your mind to dwell in the flow of continuity rather than the urgency of linear progression. As you pause to watch a lantern sway near a quiet archway, your attention drifts naturally toward the cyclical nature of human life here. You can feel the slow unfolding of generations, each leaving traces in the city's stones, in its water, in the very air you breathe. Scholars, families, merchants, travelers, all are part of the same gentle rhythm, each life a soft ripple on the river of time. You sense that nothing is lost, every gesture, every moment, becomes absorbed into the continuum, giving shape to the enduring, patient heartbeat of Baghdad. The night itself feels infinite, yet intimately present. Shadows and light blend seamlessly, past and present coexist, and even your own presence seems folded into the ongoing flow. Time here is not a line to be measured, but a gentle, circular movement, like water that returns and moves forward simultaneously. You are carried by this awareness, feeling your mind and body sink into its rhythm, letting go of urgency, expectation, or distraction. You are fully present yet timeless, moving through centuries as naturally as a lantern casts its glow across a courtyard. In this way, the city teaches you the subtle art of temporal patience. Its stones, its river, its quiet streets all whisper that existence does not always demand progress, only attention, presence, and gentle observation. You become part of a current that has carried life for centuries and will continue beyond your awareness. Each breath, each heartbeat, each step is a small ripple in a river that has never ceased to flow. As you stand here, enveloped in the city's nocturnal embrace, you feel a calm certainty. In Baghdad, night, life, and time are inseparable, flowing together with a steady, hypnotic, and infinitely gentle grace. As the night deepens, the city seems to release itself from the strict confines of history, letting go of names, dates, and events. Streets, walls, and waterways remain, but they take on a broader presence, a quiet dignity that exists beyond any timeline. Baghdad becomes less a city to be studied and more a place to be felt, a living memory that has endured centuries, absorbing joy, sorrow, and ordinary life without urgency. You are invited to release your attention from specifics, to let the mind rest gently on the essence of the city itself, as if it were breathing alongside you. The streets you have walked before now feel simultaneously familiar and infinite. They stretch beyond measurement, winding through memory as easily as through physical space. Courtyards, once filled with individual families or scholars, now exist as gentle impressions of domestic life and quiet reflection. The rustle of leaves, the faint brush of wind against stone, the subtle lapping of the river, all these sounds and sensations are no longer tied to particular moments. They are woven together into a fabric of endurance, a soft reminder that life, in its most essential form, is continuous, patient, and resilient. Lanterns sway in the evening breeze, casting pools of soft light on worn walls and pavements. Their glow is steady yet gentle, highlighting the textures of stone, wood, and earth without commanding attention. Shadows stretch and fold around them, forming patterns that shift slowly, almost imperceptibly, yet with a quiet poetry that encourages calm observation. You notice how the interplay of light and shadow mirrors your own awareness, sometimes focused, sometimes diffused, always present, always patient. The city does not demand you follow, measure, or analyze, it simply exists, offering you a space to inhabit fully, without pressure or expectation. You walk through an alley, past doors and lattices, and sense the layers of life that have unfolded here over centuries. There is no need to name the people who once passed these paths, nor the events that occurred under these roofs. Instead, the presence of continuity itself becomes your anchor. You feel the same patterns of care, attention, and human interaction that you observed earlier, now magnified into a universal rhythm. Families resting, scholars writing, water flowing in the river, all are absorbed into a gentle, shared pulse of existence. Your mind is invited to notice this without thought or analysis, to simply rest within the steady embrace of the city. Even the river, with its patient, reflective flow, now takes on a symbolic presence. The Tigris River moves beneath the moon and stars, carrying the weight of countless lives, ideas, and fleeting moments. Its surface reflects light without distinction, smoothing the details of what has passed into a continuous current. You feel the river as a metaphor for endurance, for the quiet persistence of life itself. Watching its motion invites a gentle letting go, an acceptance that all things move, change, and endure simultaneously, without need for commentary or evaluation. The city's architecture also transcends time in this contemplative frame. Doors, arches, and windows are no longer markers of a particular era, they are forms that embody permanence and care. Each surface, each curve, each texture conveys the quiet resilience of a place that has seen centuries unfold yet remains steadfast. Walking through these streets, you feel the stability of human presence, the reassurance of continuity, and the sense that the city, in its calm dignity, offers shelter not only to those who live here but also to anyone who pauses to observe and rest within it. The night itself seems softer in this state of mind. Sounds of wind, water, footsteps, and distant life no longer compete for attention, they merge into a gentle background, a subtle, enveloping lullaby. Lanterns and stars reflect together in the river and in your own imagination, folding space and memory into a single, expansive perception. You feel both small and connected, aware of your presence yet carried by the timeless essence of Baghdad. There is no story to follow, no tension to resolve, only the comforting continuity of existence, patience, and quiet attention. You may notice a feeling of ease spreading through your body as you move slowly through the city's nocturnal spaces. Shoulders relax, muscles soften, and breathing settles into a steady rhythm, in sync with the gentle, enduring heartbeat of the streets, courtyards, and river. The city offers no demand, only invitation, to observe, to reflect, to rest. You sense that Baghdad's true presence lies not in its historical milestones, but in the collective memory of all who have lived, worked, and slept within its embrace. Its dignity is quiet, unobtrusive, and entirely sustaining. In this way, Baghdad at night becomes both a space and a feeling, a sanctuary of endurance, memory, and gentle presence. Time, action, and circumstance fade in significance, leaving only the calm flow of existence, the soothing repetition of light, shadow, and sound. You are free to dwell here, to let the mind soften, to drift gently into a state of rest, carried by the city's patient continuity. And as you pause in this quiet, enveloping nocturnal embrace, you sense that the essence of Baghdad is not something to be learned or measured, but something to be inhabited, fully and peacefully, for as long as you choose to remain in its gentle heart. As the night continues its gentle descent, the city itself begins to settle, as if it were a living being drawing itself into rest. The streets grow quieter, their earlier movements fading into soft echoes that linger for a moment before dissolving completely. Footsteps, once present in gentle rhythm along stone and cobblestone, slow to a stop, leaving only the faint whisper of air brushing against walls and leaves. Even the river's surface, reflective and patient, seems to pause, its ripples softened into a delicate, undisturbed flow, carrying light and shadow without hurry or interruption. Lanterns, once swaying gently in courtyards and along streets, are extinguished one by one, their faint glimmers disappearing into the night. Shadows stretch and relax as darkness fills the spaces between walls, doors, and archways. The city's architecture takes on a softer, more meditative presence, no longer defined by human activity or movement, but by the quiet solidity of stone and wood. Each courtyard, each alley, each quiet room seems to inhale, pausing in anticipation of the deeper stillness that is about to settle across the city. Even within the houses, life slows to its most fundamental rhythms. Families lie resting, conversations soften to whispers or faded entirely. The faint creak of a hinge, the subtle rustle of fabric, and the measured breathing of those sleeping create a calm soundscape, rhythmic and predictable. You notice how these sounds blend seamlessly with the natural ambience of the night, the soft sigh of wind, the distant lap of water, the subtle hum of the city's stones absorbing centuries of presence. Together, these layers of sound and silence compose a gentle lullaby, a tapestry of continuity that encourages your own mind and body to mirror the city's rest. The river, your companion for much of the journey, now flows with an almost imperceptible motion. The gentle lapping of water against wooden hulls and stone banks is faint, subdued, leaving only a whisper of movement that is comforting rather than attention-grabbing. The reflections of lanterns and stars have faded as light diminishes, leaving a calm mirror of darkness that mirrors the stilling streets. You sense the continuity of the city's life, its steady heartbeat slowing into a rhythm that is entirely compatible with sleep, patience, and deep, restorative awareness. Footsteps that once punctuated alleys and riverbanks are now gone. The soft shuffle of a scholar's robe, the faint scraping of a quill, and the rustle of pages have all disappeared into the night's embrace. Courtyards are empty, lamps extinguished, and even the occasional whisper of conversation has ceased. You feel the absence of motion not as emptiness, but as a gentle affirmation that the city itself has completed its cycle for the night. Everything rests, as if every street, wall, and riverbank has been coaxed into a state of calm, synchronized with your own slowing heartbeat. The air carries a softened stillness, a quiet that is neither stark nor hollow, but nurturing and sustaining. You notice the subtle sounds that remain, the faint rustle of leaves in hidden gardens, the whisper of wind through narrow alleys, the distant, gentle murmur of water moving downstream. These minimal, recurring textures reinforce a sense of safety and familiarity. The city's presence feels less like an environment to navigate and more like a gentle companion, providing continuity, calm, and assurance without demanding attention or effort. Even the stars overhead, once mirrored in the river and reflected in lantern-lit windows, now seem to rest in the sky, steady and watchful without imposing brightness. Their constancy provides a quiet counterpoint to the fading activity below, a silent witness to the city's transition into sleep. Shadows soften into indistinct shapes, blending with the darkened river and streets to form a visual landscape that invites your mind to settle, to slow, and to drift along with the city's steady, unhurried rhythm. The cumulative effect of the night's slowing pace is a sense of deep, enveloping calm. The repetition of subtle sounds, the steady fading of light, and the absence of sudden change or urgency allow your awareness to align with the city's own rhythm. You feel yourself inhaling and exhaling in harmony with the soft pulse of the streets, courtyards, and riverbanks. Each breath becomes a reflection of the city's rest, each heartbeat a quiet echo of its enduring presence, creating a hypnotic, sleep-friendly cadence that invites gentle surrender. As you pause in the center of an empty street or beside the softly flowing river, the city seems to settle fully around you. Every building, courtyard, and path exhales, completing its nightly cycle. The rhythm of life has shifted entirely into rest, lamps extinguished, footsteps vanished, conversations ended. The gentle sounds that remain, the wind, the river, the subtle rustle of leaves, form a continuous, soothing background that carries both the city and yourself into deeper calm. Baghdad at night has paused, not as an absence, but as a quiet, living presence, holding space for reflection, rest, and the gentle surrender that comes with the end of the day. The night has settled fully over Baghdad now, and you find yourself immersed in its gentle embrace. The streets have quieted, the river flows in measured whispers, and every shadow stretches into calm stillness. You are no longer walking purposefully, no longer observing with intent. Instead, you are simply present, a quiet awareness moving slowly through the city's nocturnal pulse. The air feels soft against your skin, carrying traces of stone, water, and earth, while the faint scent of distant gardens drifts by, subtle and unintrusive. Here, in the heart of this enduring city, there is nothing to do, nowhere to be, nothing to see except the soft unfolding of the night and the rhythms it carries with it. Every lamp has dimmed, leaving only the faintest glow where a window lattice might catch a residual flicker. Courtyards breathe softly in the darkness, their walls holding centuries of life in patient, steady embrace. The river's surface, once rippling with the reflections of stars and lanterns, now lies almost motionless, its gentle motion slowed to a whisper. Occasionally, a faint splash or a subtle ripple interrupts the surface, but these movements are soft, measured, as if the city itself is testing the waters of deeper rest, inviting you to sink fully into the same rhythm. Your own breathing slows in tandem, inhaling and exhaling with a quiet regularity that matches the river's pulse, allowing your body to release tension with every cycle. You notice that the familiar sounds of the city, the rustle of leaves, the far-off murmur of voices, the occasional brush of wind, have softened into layers of gentle texture, each barely distinguishable, yet present in a continuous, soothing background. They are not meant to command your attention, they are a soft lullaby, a reminder that you are held within a living, breathing environment, safe and unhurried. You do not need to follow the path of any sound, or analyze its origin, simply noticing, allowing, and absorbing is enough. The city asks nothing of you, only that you rest alongside it, breathing in sync with its quiet endurance. The streets, once detailed with lanterns and shadowed walls, now blend into a more abstract landscape. Shapes are present but soft, edges blurred by the depth of night. Courtyards fold into alleyways, alleys fold into the riverbanks, and the boundaries of the city expand in your perception, creating a vast space that feels endless yet intimate. This expansion allows the mind to float freely, moving without effort, untethered from the constraints of direction or purpose. You are part of the city, yet separate, observer and participant in the same gentle rhythm. Time, once measured by lamps and footsteps, now flows like the river itself, steady, circular, and patient, carrying every thought, every breath, every heartbeat toward rest. Within this abstraction, the presence of human life lingers softly. Families sleep behind closed doors, scholars rest beside extinguished scrolls, and travelers lie quietly in courtyards and alcoves. Their presence is no longer specific, it is a subtle echo of continuity, a reassurance that the city has always been, and will continue to be, a space for quiet observation, reflection, and endurance. You sense the layers of these lives folded gently into the streets, the river, and the air itself, forming a steady, calming framework for your own descent into deeper rest. You do not need to name or imagine each figure, their essence is enough, a reminder that life and continuity continue seamlessly, untroubled, beyond the confines of any single moment. The river, your long companion through this nocturnal journey, now moves in near imperceptible cycles. The sound of water brushing against the banks is soft, rhythmic, and hypnotic, carrying your attention gently along its surface. Occasional splashes, perhaps a fish moving beneath the surface, perhaps a small boat long past. Add variation without disruption, subtle punctuation within a broader cadence that has no beginning or end. You feel yourself mirroring the river's motion in your own mind, letting thoughts drift with its flow, letting tension dissolve with every ripple. The sensation of continuity, of movement without effort, begins to carry you further into a state of calm surrender, where sleep feels not distant, but inevitable and natural. As you move through the city in this quiet, abstract state, the air itself seems to guide you deeper into rest. The faint sigh of wind through trees and alleyways, the gentle sway of hanging fabrics, the delicate brushing of leaves against stone, all merge into a single, continuous texture that enfolds your awareness. Each sound, each subtle movement, encourages a deepening sense of security and ease. The city is no longer an environment to explore, it is a companion, patient and steady, holding you in place while your mind and body let go completely. You are free to remain fully present in this calm, or to let your attention soften and drift without effort, following the natural descent into rest. The lanterns, now fully extinguished, leave only traces in your memory of their soft glow. Shadows stretch across walls, courtyards, and riverbanks, dissolving slowly into darkness. The movement of your own mind, once alert and observant, begins to follow the same rhythm, slowing, softening, folding into the flow of the night. You feel a subtle warmth in your chest as awareness and relaxation converge, a gentle sense of safety and continuity that requires no action, no judgment, no expectation. Everything outside and within you has slowed, there is nothing left to do but rest. Even your senses of time and distance begin to blur. Streets fold into courtyards, courtyards into the river into the night sky. Stars reflect faintly on water and in memory, their presence steady yet non-demanding, a quiet reminder of the vastness beyond the city's embrace. You sense that both you and the city are part of a continuum that stretches beyond observation, beyond description, beyond any need for comprehension. There is only presence, only the soft rhythm of night, carrying everything gently forward into the quiet, restorative spaces of sleep. As you continue to drift, the city's pulse becomes your own. Footsteps, conversation, and movement have dissolved into stillness, yet you feel the continuity of life as a subtle vibration beneath awareness. Breathing, heartbeat, and thought slow further, aligning naturally with the cadence of water, wind, and shadow. There is no need to resist, no need to control, the city provides both sanctuary and guide, inviting you to surrender fully. You are safe, observed only by the gentle constancy of night, your mind and body carried into rest without pressure, without direction, simply flowing with the enduring rhythm that has guided countless others before you. In these final moments, the narrator's presence recedes, leaving only the soft pulse of the city, the river, and the night. The streets, courtyards, and riverbanks are still, yet alive in their own quiet way. Lanterns, shadows, and reflections persist gently in memory, but no new images or sounds demand attention. Your awareness softens further, merging with the gentle continuum of night. Every inhale and exhale, every shift of thought, every small sensation is absorbed into this calm, infinite flow. You are fully supported, fully present, fully free to rest without interference, as the city holds you safely in its patient embrace, carrying you deeper, ever deeper, into the timeless, restorative heart of night.